So what is your favorite stock to swing trade in the stock market? What's going on, guys? It's Ricky here with TechBot Solutions. I thought that I would share this with you guys on one of my favorite stocks to swing trade that is under $15 a share. One of the things that I do want to remind you is that just because I see value in something does not mean that you need to. We all see value in different ways, and I want to remind you that, again, I'm just sharing my thoughts. Feel free to share your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm looking at. This is American Airlines. Now, if you're part of my LPP team and if you've been there for a while, you know that one of the stocks that I like to play around with is American Airlines. I like to swing trade it, and I don't trade it the same way that I trade SQs and TQs. And the reason I say that is when it comes down to trading SQs and TQs, I trade with over six figures, right? When it comes down to American Airlines, I never tried to take more than a $50,000 position. This is just to reflect how much more risky I see something like American Airlines, especially as a swing trade when I expect to hold it for a longer period of time. So again, I'm just sharing that with you because I think position size has a lot to do with it on how someone manages or mitigates risk. So the first thing that I want to talk about is on the technical side, based off of recent patterns, which of course it's not 100% perfect every single time, as nothing is, but patterns tend to repeat themselves, but they don't always have to. I tend to try to identify a common support range and a common resistance range. As you can see, a common support range is right around $12 or $12.50. Obviously, $11.65. It can hit lower lows in that sense, but I like to identify more of a common support range. The same thing with a resistance range. As you guys can see, resistance range right around 1550. So again, not the highest, definitely not the lowest, but a common level where it tends to hit often. Again, if you wanted to be a little bit more conservative, I guess you could say $15 is a more common support range. But even if it were to be $15, right, from a common support range of around $12.50 to a common resistance range of around $15, that is about a 20% ROI in a perfect world. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not a perfect trader, right? So although it might offer 20%, I might try to just make 8 or 10%. I need to leave margin for error and being a little bit more realistic. The second thing that I try to focus on is I try to formulate my trade plan. Well, obviously, based off of recent patterns, if I identify this to be a support and this to be a resistance, right, $12.50 is a support range where I would normally want to buy if it bounces here, and normally want to sell right around $15, well, why do I have an open position? Well, it's actually during my live trading session today that I actually opened a short position. As you can see, my share quantity is negative 335 shares. And remember what I said, I don't like to trade this with more than $50,000. 335 shares short at around an average purchase price of $14.92 is right under $5,000. That's about a 10% position size. I'm disclosing this to you because I want you to understand how I formulate my initial position, and then I will only add more if American Airlines actually begins to sell off. So if I look at American Airlines a little bit closer and we break below the EMA and it begins to show signs of an active sell-off, very similar to what we showed here, right? It was selling off, trading below the EMA, trading below the moving average, and formulating lower lows and lower highs. I actually had an active short position when American Airlines was doing this. As long as direction begins to go negative, right, then I will add more to my short position from $5,000 as of right now, closer to $50,000. The more that direction is favorable, the more that I will add up to that $50,000 mark. If things begin to go south, or I guess north for me, right, because I have an active short, if things begin to indicate signs of an uptrend, then the beautiful thing about this is that, yes, I'm still going to take a loss, right, because I still have an open position, and any open position is a position that's open to risk, but it doesn't have to be an insane loss, right? Because my position size is smaller in the beginning, right? This is what we talk about in LPP. By making sure that my position size is lighter in the beginning of my trade, if things begin to go south, what often happens when you enter a trade and things begin to go south, but you're fully invested? Emotions come out, at least for me, right? And then you're like, man, I thought I bought the dip, but the dip keeps dipping. And I've been burned so many times when it comes down to that. This is why I have such a big focus on position size. And I think a great way to manage your risk is to manage your position size. My job is not to be afraid of risk. My job is just to manage it and to manage that position size. So I make sure that I put myself in a position, if I choose to get in early, as I did, that I can tolerate, right? So knowing that we're at a potential resistance, but it could break above, That is the exact reason I only have a 10% position, knowing that it could sell off and be in my favor, but knowing that it possibly can't, which is why my position size is lighter, just in case I do take a loss and I need to manage my risk. Let's say it goes beyond 1550, I can cut losses, but now I'm only cutting losses on a 10% position, not a $50,000 position. Make sense? So as direction begins to be in my favor, I can add more to my short, which means I sell, add more, add more, add more. And then as we get closer to our previous support range, which is right around, $12.50, maybe $13, I can begin to buy to cover. Remember, if you've never shorted before, this is probably not something you want to get into if you're just getting started, but this is something that I do break down in LPP if you want to learn more about it. The great thing about this is that the swing trade is something that you can do under the PDT rule, right? It's not a day trade, meaning that you're not limited to only being able to buy and sell 3 times within a 5 business day period. And that's the beautiful thing about this, is that it has a decent enough margin. It's attractive because I don't have to do it with a super large position size, and it's fun because I'm not doing it with a super large position size where if things go south, I get a sour taste in my mouth, right? It's enjoyable. I can embrace the challenge that I get from choosing to swing trade something like American Airlines. So again, in a perfect world, I can make money from lows of 12 to highs of 15, but then I can open up a short from highs of 15 and cover at 12. So I'm very excited to follow up, and we'll see. We'll see if we end up having to manage my risk. If this thing breaks above 1550, I'll cut losses on that short position, and I'll take a small loss. But in the grand scheme of things, again, I can just wait for that next opportunity to present itself. I'll size into that proper position, and then I'll lock in profits. And I just thought I would share one of my favorite stocks to swing trade under $15 a share. And of course, that is American Airlines. You guys let me know down in the comments section. I haven't filmed a video like this. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you drop a thumbs up. Please make sure you subscribe. And again, I trade live every single morning exclusively with my LPP team. If you want to watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow, make sure you click the second link in the description down below, and I'll see you tomorrow at Market Open for our live trading session. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.